welcome back to another enlightening episode of The Mindful Living. So, dear listeners, we live in a time where ambition often collides with the exhaustion, and where, entrepreneurs, those who appear to have it all together, are quietly kind of struggling with the anxiety, depression, burnout, right? So, which actually raises a deeper question I definitely would love to share with you all, dear listeners. The question is what if the path to true success is not just about pushing harder, but about aligning our mind, body, and spirit with the very principles of nature and um, even the quantum physics itself, right? So, dear listeners, my guest today is Alessandro Grampa. So, welcome to the show, Alessandro.
Hi, Vic. How's it going? Nice to connect back here on the show.
Amazing, amazing. Lovely. I really love that we have you again on our show. And um, dear listeners, before we start, as you know, I always introduce our guest with all of you. So, Alessandro is a serial impact entrepreneur who knows this paradox firsthand. So, he has launched his first company at 19, built multiple ventures, past seven figures, and yet discovered that high performance often came at the expense of mental health, like battling ADHD, panic attacks, post COVID depression. So he found healing and clarity through the meditation, biohacking, and ancient practices that science is only now beginning to validate. So, as the founder of Whole Grain Wisdom, he is on a mission to bridge the ancient wisdom and the modern science to help people perform at their peak while also staying grounded in what truly matters. So, a Buddhist digital nomad and a father who now builds companies from nature, travels the world with his family, and teaches others how to align their goals with the holistic well being without burning out. And today we will talk about what holistic well-being really is, whether going holistic make us softer or sharper, the roots of entrepreneurial mental health challenges, and uh, even the very good question is how quantum physics offers a lens into um, the connection between mind, matter, and spirit. I would say. So why do it? Let's get started. Welcome to the show again, Alessandro.
Thanks so much.
Amazing. So, Alessandro, uh, the big picture, definitely, I'd love to start with that. Uh, we all talk about holistic well-being, right? So, what does holistic well-being mean to you? How is it different from the way that most of your entrepreneurs approach wellness?
Well, I did start the journey itself as any other entrepreneur. My journey started with meditation because of the many panic attacks and stress that I was having, but then it quickly got into biohacking and then working on, the biological part of the body, the metabolism and so on, the supplementations, the nootropics eventually at some point, everything to be sharper and to be just, more in the zone, while still working like crazy. And what I actually understood is that it worked until a certain point, but if you live on a deficit, I make always the comparison of a phone that recharges the battery over time. Everybody experience, you have a new phone, and you charge it once and maybe you get the whole day plus some of the battery, but while still using it fully, and then you overuse it, and I think right now in less than a year that battery is not gonna last for more than a day. I have the example of my phone that have to keep recharging it every 6 hours. So the same happens with the body and with the mind. We constantly live on a deficit because we don't give ourselves enough time to rest. This is one thing, but also because we constantly live overstimulated if we live in an urban environment, indoors, and so on and so forth, with artificial lighting. And so the reality is that you came back from imagine the summer break, you took some vacations and all your like all of your tasks during the day can be done in, I don't know, like 5 hours compared to the traditional full day of work. And you're happy, you still have energy. Maybe you're gonna get out with some friends in the afternoon. Maybe you're still gonna do the workout in the morning. And the perfect routine seems completely doable. What happens after the third, fourth, fifth week? First, you don't even remember that you ever been in vacation. And second, there is hardly enough energy to do the full day of work, let alone keeping up with the routine, keeping up with the workout, keeping up with social, kind of situations with your friends, especially when you're a founder. Okay, I always talk with the perspective of an entrepreneur. I worked for more than 12 years on an average of 60 to 70 hours per week, and that's average. So there were definitely weeks where I worked more, and I was super proud of it. I was proud to say no to my friends. I was proud to say no, I don't gonna be here on the weekend. I'm gonna be working all day, which I believed, in what I was doing, but at the same time I completely destroyed myself.
So, like, was there a turning point where you realized that you couldn't keep striving without uh, redefining what well-being meant for you?
Well, for me, the turning point, it's been a mix of different situations in life. First of all, the first one was I started to lose passion on my company and on the company's vision. I believed in it for so long, and at some point, I was just like, I don't recognize myself anymore. I was tying my identity to the company. And so when the company was going up, I was very happy. When the company was going down, I was depressed. I mean, it was a roller coaster. But even more so, it was, I think, when I was working with ancestral medicine people from Colombia. I lived there for a while with my wife, so we knew a bunch of people from the natural healing community and so on and so forth. And I think one conversation really shocked me, I believe, because we were starting to figure out how to have a family, like how to have kids and so on. And the person told us, like, super bluntly, guys, you're never gonna get kids if you continue this lifestyle. And they were like, "Oh, wait a second. Why are you saying this?" And their explanation was that from an energetic point of view, there wasn't literally more space, for investing in such another creation projects. We were so focused, both of us, my wife and I, on new companies, that the creation energy was there already, 100% dedicated to it. So there was no additional energy for having kids. And at the beginning, I really laughed, but now after more than 1 year of journey and completely changing the lifestyle, I have to be honest, if we hadn't made that lifestyle change, we would not have kids now. And this is a hard reality for many others, because I believe that Western medicine is not honest enough about these very topics. In the majority of cases, they have no idea what energy is, and this is one problem. But even when they do have some kind of correlation, to stress and to cortisol hormonal problems, metabolism, uh, you know, imbalances and so on. So they have some instruments that they know when things don't work in your body, but they don't have the courage to tell you. They just keep saying, "Oh yeah, why don't we just do some artificial intervention and we figure it out that way?" But we're not meant to be artificially managed or controlled. Like, we are beings, we are human beings, we are perfectly already as we are. We just need to let the body do its work of self-healing and self-rebalancing. There is a very famous keyword, I think, when you get into the holistic world, which is homeostasis. This is coming from ancient Greek, and it's the inner capacity of the body to rebalance itself. The problem is that when you clearly work and clearly live in a deficit, we completely lose the capability to rebalance ourselves. And this is the major issue, and probably no very, very few people talk about it.
Mm, I understand. That's so relatable. I mean, sometimes it takes collapse before we realize that wellness is not a luxury, it's the foundation of sustainable success.
Well, yeah, there's a sad but very true uh, analysis, let's say, or explanation for this is the fact that human beings are into this dimension, into this life on planet Earth to learn through duality, the hot and the cold, the bad and the good. I mean, you wouldn't know what true well-being actually mean if you hadn't gone through the mess, if you hadn't gone through the depression and so on and so forth. So, to anyone out there that is actually struggling with this, I think for me, especially, like the major turning point was to understand the more that you are down, the more as a rubber band contra, like a counter force, you can actually be catapulted up. Because the reality is that we are really here to learn through this duality, and the yin and the yang and the Shiva and Shakti, depending on the culture that you want to mention, we've been talking about this since thousands of years.
Got it. Hmm. So, like many people think that uh, going holistic means softening goals, slowing down, or lowering ambition. But others argue that it's the only way to actually aim higher without kind of self destruction. So, what has your experience shown you?
Well, I think for me, as many other people that are always born with neurodiversity, as you mentioned in the introduction, I'm an ADHD founder. Actually, 73% of founders are neurodiverse. So the majority of entrepreneurs out there, they are clearly not in the traditional spectrum, as you would say. And so I've been always thinking that the only way is up, and the only way is through the pushing, pushing, pushing. And even if you have a wall in front of you, no matter what, you need to learn how to struggle and how to break the wall and go past it. The reality is that if you look at other industries, if you look at other similar environments, but learned how to deal with the human homeostasis element and the human energetic mechanism, you look at professional athletes in the world of sports, and you would know that the the young athletes, when they are recruited in the clubs, in the federations to be trained for, I don't know, the Olympics or a very big game in their future, whatever, they are paired with a team to support them, and a team that teaches them that recovery is as important, if not even more important in some cases, than the actual performance per se. Like, the performance is something that you do once in a while. During the rest of the time, you train, and part of your training is to recover from the stress of this training. Again, we go back to homeostasis. So, the problem when we go in the traditional environment of business, of normal life, is that we keep thinking and we keep looking at like around us. So it's also a problem of relationship bias, because everybody around you hustle, and so you clearly have to hustle back as well, because otherwise there is the fear of missing out. So everybody's consciously or unconsciously trying to play with your survival mechanism of the brain, because the brain, at the end of the day, the only specific job that it has is to keep you alive. And the brain prefers a bad known to any kind of unknown. So
Hmm.
as soon as you're going out of what your brain knows as a fact, even if it's very bad for you, it's still gonna try to protect you in a very, you know, useless mechanism nowadays, and is gonna be telling you all of this stuff in your head. No, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. Even though you clearly know that you're struggling, even though you clearly understand that if you're gonna work 3 hours more is not going to change anything because you're going to be staring at the computer. So just to wrap it up, for me, that was the biggest realization, understanding how the brain works. And then the even bigger problem or obstacle to face was, okay, for me as a high performer, I don't want to become soft, because if I become soft, then it means the ambition is going to go down. Then I have the picture of, you know, uh, some kind of laid back person on a tropical beach, just living that life and thinking that, okay, that's really just about it. I wanted to do more for myself. I wanted to build stuff. I wanted to impact people. How can I actually get there without burning out? And that's when I understood, well, first of all, we are energy beings. We are a saltwater battery as a body. Through the fascial system, we have 70% water. So there is a lot of energy through the water and through the minerals that have piezoelectric functions in our body. And the science is already telling you how the body works. So if you understand that this energy is also the same one that creates reality, and if we want, we can also touch a little bit about quantum physics, then you understand that the reality that you are inside is the reality that you're projecting outside. So if you internally are confused, if internally you're struggling, then everything outside of you is going to confirm that, because that's exactly what you're projecting.
Amazing, amazing. And like, what I mean, would you say that holistic practices, um, kind of made you ambitious or simply more intentional with your goals?
I think the right word is intentional, absolutely. But it's not easy to be intentional, because in order to be intentional, then you really need to know what you're supposed to be doing. And the thing is, the majority of us don't have any idea what we are supposed to be doing. We are being told what to do every single day since we were born. You should go to school, you should do this, you should do that, you should not cross with the red light, you shouldn't be doing that and this and here and there. You watch television or you open social media, and everybody's trying to tell you who you should be and what you should want. So the very first work is break down all of these belief systems, understand that from an inner perspective, you are more than your body, you're more than your mind. There is all of this element of energy that is very, very important. And when you understand this, then there are different tools from the ancient wisdom, but are not necessarily, also quite recent, let's say, that allows you through these methodologies to understand, to discover your real inner purpose. Like, what have you? Why did you come here into this life to do what? This is like, in I think some of the Japanese keywords of the ikigai, they're very famous right now in the kind of like corporate training programs, and all the different mindset courses and so on. So everybody speaks about purpose. The reality is that very few align like the quest to find your own purpose with the actual belief systems that you already built that are limiting you from getting there. Because I thought that I had to build $1 billion company, because that was what I was taught in order to be, successful, and in order to impact people. I'm an impact entrepreneur, so I always wanted to help people and to help the planet. And I thought that doing that, I had to build $1 billion company. Maybe at some point I will build it, but the reality is that that almost killed me. And by doing that, and by almost killing myself, then I was definitely going to build $1 billion company. So, how can I get there, enjoying the journey, doing something that from the inside out truly manifests, truly expresses who I am as a person, compared to what other people are telling me I should be doing. If you like this, then you should be doing that. It's not true. Who said this? So when you are intentional, because you know what's your inner purpose, then you can actually start to build a life that aligns with your values. And of course, it takes a lot of courage because you need to break down a ton of extra belief systems and a ton of extra, you know, wrong ideas that the world put you in your head. You need to start to become very independent. You need to start to take a lot of responsibility for your actions. And if you're a founder, well, the exercise is actually quite similar to what you already started to build for your own companies. But this time you need to do it for yourself, which is even more courageous, let's say. And when you're intentional, then everything you do is aligned on something that is bigger than you. It's actually, universe energy that starts to kind of align almost magically to give you what you want, which in this case is being yourself instead of being somebody else.
That's amazing. I mean, it reframes the well-being as a kind of competitive age, uh, rather than a retreat from the achievement, I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah, because to be honest, who wants to give up their dreams of being successful and being happy and just achieve what they want to achieve just for the sake of happiness? And like, so let me rephrase it, probably in the sense of everybody wants to be happy, right? But
Mm.
the way that we think that we can become happy, it's distorted. We are trained that we need happiness because we achieve something externally. Instead, you first choose to be happy internally, and then reality flashes you back, projects you happiness outside of you. This is how quantum physics work. And so if you keep doing things so that you can be happy, that's the bigger problem. So if you think that you're going to be happy if you are successful or if you have ambition, you will constantly chase ambition and chase success. But if you actually reframe it and you understand that it starts first from the inside and then it goes projected outside, then first you need to take the time to understand what does it mean to be successful inside of you. Then do all of the exercises, all of the methods to break down the old belief systems and build the new ones so that you can really be successful and happy inside. And then magically you start project all of this outside. So the process is more or less similar in the goal, but the methodology is absolutely different. And it's based on how reality works from a physical perspective. And so it's not anymore, the ancient wisdom woo-woo conversation where you need to meditate all day so that you can become a guru. And then after that, you're going to levitate because you're meditating very well. Well, that's not the point. The point is understand why you need to meditate. Do you need to meditate so that you can have space in your head? So that when you have space in your head, you can actually use other methods to discover what are you meant to be doing and your inner purpose and so on and so forth. If the answer is yes, then it's a good direction. But if the answer is, all my friends are meditating and it's cool because there is a nice yoga center downstairs my place, so let me meditate a little bit more. Yes, it's definitely better than go smoking some cigarettes, but it's still not going to bring you anywhere.
I agree completely. Yeah. And so like let's zoom out even further, right? You often explore the connection between mind, spirit, and even the quantum physics as well. So, how do you see quantum science validating or maybe expanding what ancient traditions have always taught about the human potential?
Well, I think the very first uh, concept that I actually like acknowledge and really, really understood like deeply inside of me relatively recently was an equation from Einstein that, everybody always learns at school, but nobody really understands what does it even mean, which is, energy equal mass for speed, for light speed squared. E equal mc squared. And you understand, okay, what does that even mean? Like everybody seems so amazed that they discovered this formula, they developed this formula, and it's actually more than 100 years ago, I think, right now. But still, nobody's really applying it to the real life. The real life explanation is that energy, the E part of the equation equal mass, which is the material thing, per speed squared. So if you understand basic math, you understand that the equal in the middle, it's, energy and mass are the same thing. They just have a different speed eventually. So when you understand this, there is no more need in theory to go further into explaining what the ancient wisdom has been telling us so far, because ancient wisdom is telling us that we are energy, we are infinite souls with no time. Well, probably there is a little bit of time, but like it's so immense that it's almost no time. And we keep reincarnating into a new body every time that we need to learn something. And somehow science, of course, with very different words, is telling you that the mass of a thing is equal to their energy. So if we are energy, then how can we keep thinking that our materiality is limiting us from achieving or becoming what we want? If we are energy, we can do anything we want. And the more that you go deeper into these conversations, I mean, you can understand the concept of at the subatomic level, how the atom between, the proton, the nucleus, and the electron, there is 99.9% empty space. So even when you actually think that something is physical, material, 99% of it is actually empty space, even us. So if all of this is keep telling you that when you really understand the micro level, it's all about energy, then our brain becomes this quantum computer that elaborates and processes this energy, this information, and then it projects the energy outside and it becomes your reality that you're living every day. This is already a very, very big mindset shift, right? Because if you understand that you are in control of what you're seeing outside of you, then you don't have any more excuse. You cannot complain that your neighbor is treating you like this, your boss is treating you like that, your colleague is treating you like this, your partner is treating you like that, because the reality is that you're projecting all of this. If you don't want this to be happening, you need to change yourself inside. It seems complex, of course. It's not easy to digest immediately in a simple conversation. It took me 12 years to get there, but fortunately, there are a lot of materials out there that anyone can actually study. I'm writing a lot about these topics on Holgren wisdom as well. So the key concept is don't think that you're limited, because when you think that you're limited, you will become limited. But when you start to think the opposite, that you are unlimited, then somehow you're going to find a way to get to all of this additional knowledge, all of this additional understanding that is going to put you on a vertical spiral up instead of going down.
Exactly. Hmm. Got it. Understood. And do you believe that entrepreneurs can use this lens, uh, uh, what to say, like not just for the personal healing, but to innovate and build businesses that are more conscious?
Yeah, this is the greatest question, I think, because, you know, all of this conversation, what do I even do with the business part, right? Why does it have to be connected? And it's again going back to the fact that everything starts in your mind. You have an idea to solve a problem as an entrepreneur and you build a company on it. And from an idea, you materialize everything needed so that you can actually build a company and make a physical impact on whatever you're doing. When I say physical, I also mean the software, clearly, if you're working in software. So it doesn't need to be a physical object. So already, this is the mechanism of manifestation, let's say, that you are applying from a business idea into a business reality. So if you understand that you're actually unconsciously using the very same mechanism to project additional details, let's say, to your framework of understanding of reality and perception of reality, then if you are projecting an idea of struggle, you will get struggle. If you project an idea of business hardship, you will project hardship. But I can tell you, because I've been interviewing many, many founders on my podcast as well, the Founder Bible, and I have interviewed founders that have been able to do $300 million exits, working less than 5 hours a day, not after they sold, before they sold it. And they were meditating and they were applying the science of manifestation, the science of quantum physics every single day with their own mind. So there are companies, there are people that are consciously or sometimes also unconsciously applying these laws already. If you go out there and you see a founder that is extremely confident about what he and she is doing, and somehow they're always more successful than you, that's because of the confidence. And not because the confidence itself makes them smarter, but because the confidence of knowing what you're doing from your mindset puts you in the condition that that thing is going to happen. If you think that it's going to take 10 years to achieve success, be sure that you're going to take 10 years. But if you think it's going to take all in one night, well, there is a better chance for sure.
Right. Right. Lovely. That's a profound, like, seeing entrepreneurship not just as a career path, but a field where science, spirituality, and purpose coverage. So, continue,
Yeah,
sir.
there's been a founder that I interviewed some time ago that he told me very clearly, look, Ale, I believe that if you're not a religious person, spiritual entrepreneurship is actually the fastest path to spirituality that you can ever have. And because unconsciously you're manifesting every single day your idea about the business. So you're doing this job already. It's not that you're exempt from this. Everybody's doing every thought, every word, every action is gonna be actually what is gonna happen in your life.
Exactly. Wow. Amazing. Amazing. So, Alessandro, thank you so much for preparing your story and your struggles and your wisdom to this conversation. And when we align ambition with balance, goals with grounding, and science with spirit, I believe we can perform at our highest without losing ourselves. So, definitely. And for the listeners, I'd love to mention, like, maybe it's time to rethink success, uh, not as a race to the top, but as a journey where the quality of mind, your health, your relationship matter as much as your revenue. So, lovely. If you'd like to dive deeper into Alessandro's work, check out Whole Grain Wisdom. And I'll share all the links into the show notes for your easy reference. And with this hope, until next time, this is your host Awake, signing from Mindful Living. Until next time, may your goals be bold, your spirit grounded, and your well being whole. So, thank you so much.